Rain pelted the windows of a bustling city diner late one Tuesday night as the kitchen buzzed with exhaustion. The manager had already left. Most of the cooks had clocked out, but one man remained, scrubbing dishes with trembling hands and heavy eyes. His name was Luis, a quiet, middle-aged dishwasher who never complained, never asked for anything, and somehow always stayed longer than anyone else. What no one knew was that sitting at a corner table in a hoodie and jeans, sipping black coffee, was a man worth over $100 million, the CEO of the very restaurant chain. He was undercover, and what he witnessed that night would unravel a truth so heartbreaking it would change lives forever. Starting with his own. Part 1. The CEO in disguise. Michael Granger wasn't your typical CEO. In his early 40s, he had built the Harvest House restaurant chain from scratch, growing it into a nationwide brand. But success had come at a cost. He felt disconnected from the ground-level reality of his business. Too many boardrooms, too many filtered reports, and not enough truth. So, he decided to go undercover alone. No cameras, no media, just him, blending in as a new trainee named Mike at one of his downtown branches. He wanted to see how his restaurants truly ran and how his people were treated. What he didn't expect was to meet someone like Luis and Pardo's. Luis, the invisible backbone. Luis Garcia had been working at the Harvest House diner for nearly 5 years, a dishwasher, a nobody to most. He barely spoke, always worked with his head down, and covered shifts when others didn't show up. Mike, the new guy, was sent to shadow the kitchen for training. That's when he first noticed Luis. The man moved quickly but without energy, as if he was always tired. On his first night, Mike stayed late and noticed Luis was still there washing dishes into the early hours. "What time did your shift start?" Mike asked casually. Luis glanced up, confused, then muttered, "Morning. I covered breakfast, then stayed all day." Luis just nodded and kept scrubbing. Mike blinked. "Do you get paid for both shifts?" Luis hesitated. "Sometimes they say hours are short, so I just stay. We need the help." Mike said nothing, but his stomach turned. Something didn't add up. Part 3. Cracks in the system. Over the next 2 weeks, Mike kept watching. Luis was there every day, often working open to close, sometimes getting only one meal during his entire shift, and he never clocked in or out. No timesheets, no overtime. When Mike asked the shift supervisor, he was brushed off. "He's lucky we keep him. No papers, no family. If he wants to work, we let him. He doesn't complain." Mike's heart sank. Luis was undocumented, but more than that, he was being exploited. Still, the deeper truth unraveled one rainy night when Mike offered Luis a ride home. At first, Luis refused, but when he finally agreed, Mike realized something shocking. Luis didn't go home. Part 4. The room behind the diner. Instead of giving directions to an apartment or shelter, Luis asked Mike to stop at the back alley of the diner. He fumbled with a key and opened a side door leading to a storage room stacked with boxes, old equipment, and cleaning supplies. In the corner, tucked between 2 shelves, was a thin mattress, a threadbare blanket, a duffel bag. "This is where you sleep?" Mike asked, stunned. Luis looked away, ashamed. "It's just temporary. Rent is too much. This way I can be on time." Mike was speechless. This man had been working nearly 100 hours a week, sleeping in a supply room, unpaid, for half of it, and no one in corporate knew, or maybe they didn't want to know. Part 5. The storm breaks that night. Mike went back to his hotel and cried. This wasn't just a dishwasher, this was a human being, a father, he would later learn, who had lost his wife to cancer in Honduras, a man who crossed the border to find work so he could send money home to his children. But what devastated Mike the most was how his own company, his dream, had failed. Someone like Luis. The next morning, Mike called an emergency meeting with his legal and HR teams. He revealed his identity. Heads turned, faces paled, but Mike didn't want apologies. He wanted action. Part 6. Justice for Luis and more. First, Mike personally ensured Luis and received every dollar of unpaid wages. Over years, it added up to nearly $60,000. Then, he gave him something more, a full-time, official position with benefits, housing support, and legal assistance to begin his path to residency. But that wasn't all. Mike launched a company-wide audit of every single Harvest House branch. He created a new program to protect vulnerable workers and ensured no undocumented employee could be exploited or go unpaid again. He named it Luis Law. The board pushed back at first. "It'll cost too much," they said. "It's risky," others warned. Mike stood firm. "This is the cost of doing right," he said. "And if we can't stand for people like Luis, we don't deserve to lead." Part 7. A new chapter. Months passed. Luis moved into a small apartment. His kids joined him in the US. His hands, once raw from endless scrubbing, now held textbooks as he studied English at night. One morning, as part of the company's new training program, he stood on stage in front of hundreds of new employees and shared his story in Spanish, translated by Mike himself. "I used to think I was invisible," Luis said, "but someone saw me, and that changed everything." In the front row, Mike smiled, humbled and inspired. This wasn't just about business anymore. This was about dignity, humanity, redemption. Epilogue. What he uncovered was his own heart. Mike never went back to being a traditional CEO. He spent more time on the ground, listening, learning. And Luis became more than just a dishwasher. He became a symbol of resilience, of hope. And every time a new employee joins Harvest House, they hear his name, they hear his story, because it's not just about food, or profit, or growth. It's about people. And what Mike uncovered that rainy night wasn't just injustice. It was the reason he started everything in the first place, to build something that mattered.